Welcome to Bedtime True Crime, the YouTube channel that takes you on a haunting exploration of the world of true crime, serial killers, and unsolved mysteries. Join us as we journey into the shadows, unearthing spine-tingling tales that will keep you awake at night. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to never miss another thrilling episode. Now get comfortable, turn off the lights, and prepare to be captivated by the sinister side of human nature as we delve into today's bone-chilling story. In the late 1990s, Colombia was a nation on edge. Amidst the chaos of drug cartels and political unrest, an even darker shadow began to emerge, one that would leave the entire country reeling in horror. In remote areas near rivers across this troubled land, young boys started disappearing without a trace. Their lives were brutally taken by someone with no regard for human life or decency. As authorities scrambled to unravel this macabre mystery, they had little idea they were about to uncover one of history's most prolific serial killers, Luis Garavito, also known as the Monster of the Rivers. This chilling tale takes us deep into the heart of darkness as we explore how Garavito managed to evade capture while committing unspeakable acts. To understand how such evil could flourish undetected, we must first delve into the turbulent backdrop against which these events unfolded. Colombia in the 1990s was rife with violence and corruption. Families living in poverty struggled desperately to survive amidst escalating crime rates fueled by powerful drug lords like Pablo Escobar. It was within this nightmarish landscape that Garavito's reign of terror took root. Born in Geneva, Quindío Department in 1957, Luis Alfredo Garavito Cubillos endured unimaginable abuse at his father's hands throughout his childhood. Little did anyone know that this early exposure to cruelty would later manifest itself in horrifying ways when he embarked on a killing spree spanning over half a decade. In today's episode, brace yourself for shocking revelations about Garavito's methods and motivations behind his monstrous actions. We'll reveal what ultimately led investigators down a twisted path towards capturing the Monster of the Rivers. But be warned, some secrets are better left undiscovered. For now, let your mind wander through darkened streets where danger lurks around every corner. Imagine families torn apart by grief and fear, searching for answers that seem to elude them at every turn. And as we venture deeper into this chilling tale, remember, some truths are best left hidden in the shadows. The sinister presence first made itself known in 1992 when whispers of young boys disappearing without a trace began to spread. In remote areas near rivers across Colombia, these vulnerable children, many from impoverished backgrounds or working as street vendors, seemed to vanish into thin air. As the months turned into years and more children disappeared, families became increasingly desperate for answers. The authorities appeared powerless against this unseen predator, leaving communities gripped by fear and uncertainty. It wasn't until the gruesome discoveries emerged that their worst fears were confirmed. Bodies of young boys found discarded like trash near riversides, bearing signs of unspeakable brutality. Their remains bore evidence of torture, mutilation, and sexual assault. It was clear that these victims had suffered immensely before succumbing to their horrific injuries. The sheer scale of the carnage left investigators reeling. They faced something far beyond anything they had ever encountered before. With each new crime scene discovered along riverbanks throughout Colombia's rural regions, it became apparent that a methodical killer was on the loose, one who took sadistic pleasure in inflicting pain upon his helpless prey. Investigators desperately tried piecing together any clues leading them closer to identifying this monster responsible for such heinous acts. They meticulously combed through every inch of these grisly sites, searching for fingerprints, DNA samples, or any other shred of evidence providing insight into the perpetrator's identity. But despite their best efforts, progress remained agonizingly slow. The Monster of the Rivers continued eluding capture, while public anxiety heightened due to speculation about what kind of person could commit such atrocities against innocent children. In response to growing unrest among citizens demanding justice for these lost souls, Colombian law enforcement agencies banded together under immense pressure with one goal: to bring down history's most prolific serial killer whose twisted desires knew no bounds. Yet little did they know that the key to unlocking this mystery lay hidden within an ordinary item at one of the crime scenes. As investigators delved deeper into this chilling tale, they remained unaware that a seemingly innocuous discovery would soon lead them down a twisted path towards unraveling the identity of the monster of the rivers. But as we venture further into this harrowing story, remember, some truths are best left hidden in the shadows. As the body count continued to rise and public outcry reached a fever pitch, investigators found themselves at a loss. The killer always seemed one step ahead of them, leaving behind scarce clues as he carried out his murderous rampage throughout Colombia. In 1997, an unexpected break in the case came when authorities uncovered yet another gruesome crime scene near Villavicencio. This time, however, they stumbled upon something that would prove invaluable in their pursuit of the monster of the rivers, a small notebook filled with cryptic writings and drawings. This seemingly innocuous item turned out to be a treasure trove of information for detectives working tirelessly on this case. As they painstakingly deciphered its contents, they began to unravel chilling insights into Luis Garavito's mind, including meticulous details about his victims and even potential future targets. What truly sent shivers down their spines were the disturbing sketches depicting scenes eerily reminiscent of those found at various crime scenes. Young boys bound and tortured by a faceless figure who reveled in their suffering. These graphic illustrations provided crucial insight into the sadistic nature of their elusive quarry. Armed with this newfound evidence, law enforcement agencies launched a massive manhunt for Garavito. They knew they had to act quickly before more innocent lives fell prey to his insatiable bloodlust. As word spread about the discovery of this macabre journal belonging to the monster of the rivers, fear gripped communities across Colombia. Parents clutched their children close while others sought solace in prayer, hoping against hope that this nightmare would soon come to an end. Meanwhile, police set up roadblocks and checkpoints around areas where Garavito was known to frequent or where bodies had been previously discovered. No stone was left unturned in their quest to bring him to justice. Every lead was followed up meticulously, even if it meant venturing deep into remote regions plagued by treacherous terrain and hostile weather conditions. Despite these challenges, investigators remained undeterred. They knew they were closing in on one of the most dangerous predators to ever walk the earth, and failure was not an option. Each passing day brought with it the possibility of more innocent lives being snuffed out by Garavito's twisted desires. As authorities tightened their net around the monster of the rivers, a sense of anticipation hung heavy in the air like a dense fog. Would they finally be able to put an end to this reign of terror? Or would Garavito manage to slip through their fingers once again, leaving behind only devastation and despair in his wake? Only time would reveal what fate had in store for both hunter and hunted. In 1999, the tireless manhunt for the monster of the rivers reached its climax. Luis Garavito was finally cornered in a remote town near Colombia's western border with Ecuador. His capture transpired due to an unrelated arrest for attempted rape. However, once behind bars, authorities swiftly grasped they had ensnared something far more sinister. During interrogation, Garavito initially feigned innocence regarding the string of horrific murders that haunted Colombia for years. But as investigators confronted him with irrefutable evidence, his chilling notebook and eyewitness accounts placing him at various crime scenes, Garavito's facade crumbled under pressure. In a bone-chilling confession, he admitted to slaughtering over 100 young boys across Colombia between 1992 and 1999. He detailed how he cunningly lured his victims away from their homes or workplaces with promises of money or gifts before leading them into isolated areas where unimaginable terror awaited them. Garavito's modus operandi followed a consistent pattern. After gaining their trust, he would bind his victims' hands behind their backs using nylon rope. Then, like a predator savoring its prey, he inflicted excruciating pain through mutilation and sexual assault, before ultimately ending their lives by slitting their throats or decapitating them. Even seasoned detectives struggled to comprehend the magnitude of Garavito's atrocities. As they delved deeper into this nightmare, it became evident that they were dealing with one of history's most prolific serial killers, a man whose evil knew no bounds. While Garavito's apprehension provided some solace to those living in perpetual fear, it also raised disturbing questions about how such malevolence could have remained undetected within Colombian society for so long. How did this monster manage to elude justice for nearly a decade? What dark forces propelled him down this twisted path of destruction? And what intricate web of deception allowed him to operate in the shadows, leaving a trail of shattered lives in his wake? In our next segment, we'll venture into the abyss as we unravel the enigmatic mind of Luis Garavito and unearth what led him down this sinister path. As investigators grappled with the chilling question of how someone could commit such heinous acts and remain undetected for so long, they delved deeper into Garavito's cunning methods and the turbulent environment that allowed him to blend into the shadows. Known for his high intelligence and manipulative nature, Garavito would frequently disguise himself in various roles: a street vendor, monk, or even an injured person seeking help, all carefully designed ploys to gain trust from unsuspecting victims before luring them away. His choice of targets played a significant role in his ability to evade capture. Many victims hailed from impoverished backgrounds or lived on the streets, making their disappearances less likely to raise immediate alarm. Moreover, Colombia's tumultuous political climate during this period provided fertile ground for Garavito's crimes. With law enforcement resources stretched thin due to ongoing battles against drug cartels and guerrilla groups, it is perhaps unsurprising that the monster of the rivers managed to slip through the cracks time after time. But what dark forces propelled Luis Garavito down this twisted path? As authorities uncovered details about his past marked by abuse and neglect, they discovered that he was born into extreme poverty. His alcoholic father routinely subjected him and his siblings to brutal beatings, an early exposure to violence potentially laying groundwork for his later descent into evil. However, understanding these factors neither excuses nor justifies Garavito's monstrous actions. It serves as a stark reminder that beneath seemingly ordinary exteriors can lurk unimaginable darkness capable of inflicting untold pain upon others. With the monster of the rivers now behind bars, attention turned towards bringing justice for those whose lives were stolen by his twisted desires. In upcoming segments, we'll delve into how authorities pieced together evidence, unraveling challenges faced, to build a case against Garavito, while ensuring he would never again be free to prey upon innocent children. As we continue this harrowing tale, remember that some truths are best left hidden in the shadows. With Garavito's chilling confession secured, investigators faced the daunting task of building a solid case against him to ensure justice for his horrific crimes. Considering the sheer scale of his killing spree, they had to meticulously gather evidence from numerous crime scenes spread across Colombia. The first significant breakthrough came with the discovery of Garavito's notebook, a seemingly innocuous item that provided crucial insights into his twisted mind and modus operandi. However, this alone wasn't enough to secure a conviction. Authorities needed irrefutable physical evidence linking him directly to the murders. Forensic experts played an instrumental role in unearthing such proof. They painstakingly analyzed DNA samples collected from various crime scenes, comparing them to Garavito's genetic profile. The results were damning, unmistakable matches between Garavito's DNA and traces found at multiple locations where bodies had been discovered. As suspenseful as it was laborious, law enforcement agencies tirelessly tracked down eyewitnesses who could place Garavito at or near these sites during the time frames when the killings occurred. These harrowing accounts further bolstered their case against the monster of the rivers. Identifying all of Garavito's victims presented another significant challenge. Many were homeless or living on society's fringes, making it difficult for authorities to conclusively piece together their identities. Dental records emerged as invaluable tools in confirming who these lost souls were, providing families with closure after years of heart-wrenching uncertainty. To assemble this vast body of evidence, unprecedented cooperation among different branches of Colombian law enforcement was required, along with international support from forensic specialists and criminal profilers. Their collective efforts would ultimately pay off when they presented an ironclad case against Luis Garavito, one leaving no doubt about his guilt in both judge and jury's eyes. In our next segment, we will delve deeper into those forever scarred by Garavito's actions, not only his victims, but also the survivors and families left to pick up the pieces in the wake of his brutal rampage. As we explore their stories, remember that sometimes even the darkest truths are best unveiled one chilling layer at a time. Beneath the horrifying headlines and staggering statistics lie real people whose lives were forever changed by Garavito's unspeakable actions. The young boys he targeted, often from vulnerable backgrounds, had their futures ripped away in unimaginably brutal ways. Their families faced immeasurable grief and a lingering sense of unanswered questions that haunted them for years. One heart-wrenching tale is of a distraught mother who spent agonizing years searching for her missing son, only to discover that he had become another victim of the monster of the rivers. Her torment was intensified by the realization that she would never see him again or have an opportunity to say goodbye properly. Yet amidst this darkness, there are also stories of survival and resilience. A handful of children managed to escape Garavito's clutches just before it was too late, providing vital testimony that ultimately brought him to justice. One such survivor shared his harrowing account of narrowly evading death at the hands of history's most prolific serial killer. He recalled sensing something amiss about the stranger offering money in exchange for assistance with an errand. Trusting his instincts, he fled moments before Garavito prepared to strike, saving himself from an unthinkable fate. These chilling accounts underscore both human vulnerability and our capacity for strength, even during life's darkest chapters. They stand as testaments not only to those who tragically lost their lives, but also to those brave souls who fought back against evil and triumphed. As we delve deeper into this nightmarish saga, we will explore what transpired after Garavito's capture, his trial, conviction, and subsequent imprisonment. We'll examine how Colombian society grappled with the aftermath of these shocking revelations, while seeking answers on how such atrocities could have occurred within their midst. Delving into the dark recesses of Garavito's psyche, experts sought to understand the driving forces behind his monstrous acts. Born into a life marked by extreme poverty and violence, he was no stranger to suffering. His alcoholic father meted out brutal beatings upon him and his siblings, while their mother remained willfully ignorant. This early exposure to brutality likely warped Garavito's mind, planting seeds that would later blossom into unfathomable evil. Some psychologists theorize that he sought vengeance against society for the injustices endured during his childhood. By preying on vulnerable children from similar backgrounds as his own, he may have felt an intoxicating sense of power over those who once held dominion over him. A more sinister theory posits that Garavito derived perverse pleasure from inflicting pain upon others, a sadistic tendency often observed in serial killers. Under this interpretation, it wasn't just anger fueling his crimes, but also twisted desires compelling him to explore increasingly horrifying methods of satisfying them. One chilling detail hinted at what lay beneath Garavito's seemingly ordinary exterior. Many victims bore bite marks indicative of heightened arousal during their torture. This gruesome revelation painted a disturbing picture of the monster of the rivers, reveling in each agonizing moment inflicted upon his helpless prey. Regardless of which factors specifically drove Garavito's actions, there is no denying that he exhibited traits commonly associated with psychopathy: callous lack of empathy or remorse, manipulative behavior, superficial charm, and pathological lying. As we progress through this harrowing tale, anticipation mounts regarding how Colombian authorities finally brought the monster of the rivers to justice through a high-profile trial capturing international attention. In our next segment, prepare for gripping accounts detailing pivotal moments during these proceedings, including shocking revelations exposing one of history's most prolific serial killers in all his depravity. As Colombian authorities prepared for the high-profile trial that would finally bring the monster of the rivers to justice, an air of unease and anticipation hung heavy over the nation. Citizens watched with bated breath, awaiting the horrifying details of Garavito's crimes to be revealed in court. During the gripping trial, prosecutors presented a damning case against Garavito. The evidence was overwhelming: DNA samples irrefutably linking him to numerous crime scenes, eyewitness accounts placing him near these locations at crucial times, and chilling excerpts from his notebook detailing his twisted fantasies and meticulously planned atrocities. Throughout the proceedings, Garavito displayed an unnerving indifference given the gravity of his actions. His defense team attempted to argue that he suffered from mental illness and therefore could not be held fully responsible for his crimes. However, this claim failed to sway either judge or jury, as they remained unconvinced by such assertions. In November 2000, Luis Garavito was found guilty on multiple counts of murder, torture, and rape. He received a staggering sentence totaling over 1,800 years in prison, one of the longest ever handed down in Colombia's history. Yet due to legal restrictions regarding maximum sentences served concurrently at the time, Garavito's effective sentence shockingly reduced to just 40 years behind bars. This lenient outcome ignited outrage among many who felt it did not adequately reflect the severity of Garavito's unspeakable acts, nor provide sufficient closure for those affected by them. In response to public outcry demanding harsher penalties for such monstrous deeds, Colombian lawmakers later amended their sentencing guidelines so future serial killers could face life imprisonment without parole. As we draw closer towards unraveling this harrowing tale's conclusion, questions arise about its broader implications. How can society prevent such atrocities from recurring? What lessons must be learned from our collective failure to recognize evil lurking within our midst? While definitive answers may remain elusive, one truth stands clear. Only through unyielding vigilance and compassion can we hope to protect vulnerable individuals from falling prey to monsters like Luis Garavito. As this harrowing tale draws to a close, we must honor the memories of those whose lives were stolen by Luis Garavito's monstrous actions. The families left behind continue to grapple with the anguish he inflicted upon them, while survivors bear scars that may never fully fade. The case of the monster of the rivers serves as a chilling reminder of humanity's capacity for evil, yet it also showcases our resilience in overcoming unfathomable darkness. Colombian society faced its most terrifying nightmare during Garavito's reign. However, through unwavering determination and unity, they ultimately succeeded in bringing him to justice. In an effort to prevent such atrocities from reoccurring within their midst, Colombia has taken significant strides since Garavito's capture and conviction. Law enforcement agencies have forged stronger alliances and communication channels, enhancing their ability to combat crime effectively. Meanwhile, lawmakers enacted crucial amendments to sentencing guidelines, ensuring future serial killers face life imprisonment without parole. While these measures cannot undo the suffering wrought by Garavito or erase painful memories etched into countless souls, they embody a steadfast commitment towards safeguarding against history repeating itself. As we reflect on this sinister saga, let us remain ever vigilant in protecting vulnerable individuals from falling prey to predators lurking among us. As night envelops us once more, dear listeners, remember, some truths are best unveiled one chilling layer at a time. So keep your eyes open and ears attuned for our next spine-tingling true crime story, one where shadows dance with secrets waiting to be unearthed.